welcome back to another episode of Mr. Fincham's Fireside Follow-Alongs. And today we're going to continue on with Beyond the Horizon. But before we do that, as always, we're going to do a quick little recap, and then we'll go through the questions that are attached to today's readings. So, to recap, they made it to India. They have arrived at a place. When I say they, I mean the Trades Increase, which is Sarah's father's ship, and the cook. They have arrived at a place where the Mughal ruler lives. Okay, he is the ruler of this place in India. They went to a strange market where the cook was trying to haggle, meaning bargain for prices for things that are in the market, and Sarah was trying to chase down Tom, which is the cat. As you can see here, the cat escaped from her and started running through the town. So she was going after him. That's kind of the gist, the summary of what's happened so far, of where we left off. So, under the ELA questions and tasks section, there is some questions, and here is the reading and writing task. When Sarah is lost and asks a woman for help, how is each character's perspective different? Remember, a perspective is just a point of view. So, Sarah, when she starts chasing Tom, the cat, gets lost, she asks a woman for help. How is her perspective and the woman's perspective different? And the second question, the text-to-self connection. Describe a time in your life when you or a close family member was hurt. Did this person lose consciousness? Use your sensory details, similes, metaphors, hyperbole, to help me picture what was going on. How are you feeling emotionally, physically? Sarah has no one to help her. Who helped you? Or how did you help the person that was hurt? So it says use sensory details, and then it says similes, metaphors, hyperbole. Those are actually figurative language. Our sensory details are smell, touch, taste, sight, hear. So try to use those if you can. A time when you or somebody close to you was hurt. Tell the story of what happened. How were you feeling physically? How were you feeling emotionally? Who helped you, or who helped the person that was hurt? That's your text-to-self connection. And the extension. By the end of Chapter 2, Sarah is in trouble. What events lead up to this conflict? So we're going to finish up Chapter 2. She's going to be in trouble. What events lead up to the conflict? And there is a couple videos that I will, or there is one video, rather, that I will be adding to the ELA Extra Videos tab in our YouTube channel, Navigating the Sea in the 17th Century. So you guys make sure to check that out. Without further ado, we are going to continue on page 28, Beyond the Horizon. First paragraph. Sarah ran to the wall, fingers scrabbling at the baked earth as if to scale it herself. But it was hopeless. There was no way she was getting Tom back to the ship now. It was then that it hit her. She had run blindly, and she had absolutely no idea where she was. Sarah stumbled back down the passageway, turning this way and that, through the tangle of lanes as best she remembered. Chasing Tom was making it hard for her to breathe. At last she came across another person, an old woman sitting on the ground, sifting beans in a wicker basket. The woman glanced up at a strange Angrais boy, her face blank. Sarah didn't remember passing her on the way into the maze of streets and lanes. The docks? Ships? Sarah pointed down the passageway. Ships? Jiha, said the woman, waggling her head and breaking into a smile. Bajar, Bajar. With her hands, she showed Sarah to turn left and then right. Much obliged, Sarah gasped, relieved. Now she thought she could hear the sounds of the busy docks twisting their way through the winding passages. So, this is what makes it tough if you are lost in a foreign city. A lot of people don't speak the same language as you. So when you're asking for help or directions, they may not know what you're talking about, right? It must be pretty scary for Sarah. And that's what you get when you're chasing a cat through a town. You could get lost, right? You could get lost. Now we're going to go to page 29. Sarah picked up the pace once more, finally reaching the end of the alley. She turned left the way the old woman had said. She would be back on board the ship in no time. As for Tom, well, there were probably plenty of rats here to keep him busy. And here's the lady that she asked for help, right? Sifting through beans in her basket. So, at some point, Sarah has to say, look, the cat's gone. I need to get back to the ship, because if I keep chasing this cat deeper and deeper into the city, I'm going to become more and more lost and further away from the docks, right? So at what point do you just say, okay, the cat is just going to have to find a way to survive in this town because I have to make it back to the ship, right? I don't know, but it looks like Sarah had kind of made that decision after a little bit. So now we're going to go on to page 30. Notice the legs here. As Sarah burst out of the gloom and into the light of the busy main street, she realized this wasn't the dock. It was a different part of the city, a different market altogether. The heaving thoroughfare stretched for miles, a jumble of merchants and customers, of men in loincloths with baskets above their heads and bullock carts and barrows. There was endless confusion in every direction, and not a ship in sight, just a pulsing mass of people and animals. And above it all, 1,000 voices crying out, shouting, haggling, and not a word did she understand. The fear took hold of Sarah once again, and this time she could not fight it. Panicked, Sarah hurriedly chose a direction and pushed her way through the crowd, forcing her way along the thoroughfare. Expressionless faces stared at her. She spotted a man pulling a handcart down a street, branching off the main road. The cart was laden with crates, the sort she'd seen on the docks. Sarah ran after him. So, Sarah's lost. She's in the middle of the city. There's just people everywhere. She can't understand anything that they're saying, right? And then she notices a man with some crates that are in his cart. These crates she recognizes from the docks. So she's thinking, look, this guy must know where the docks are. Why do I want to get to the docks? Because that's where my boat is, right? So she is going to try to make her way back. And now we're going to go on to page 31. It was then that the cart flew into her, and the hub of a spinning wheel smacked against her head. Everything turned black. So, in her rush to find, or in her rush to find the dock, yes, she's scared. Yes, she's lost. She's probably a little bit panicked, right? She's rushing to get to that man with the crates in his cart, so that way, hopefully, he could direct her back to the docks. What happens? She gets hit in the head with a cart and is knocked unconscious. So now, not only is she lost in this strange foreign city, now she's unconscious and at the mercy of the people around her. And we are going to stop there for today. We will pick up on this book tomorrow for tomorrow's reading. But before we sign off for the day, as always, we're going to review the questions that go along with today's reading for Beyond the Horizon, pages 28 to 31. And again, these can be found on the ELA questions and tasks section of your newsletter. The reading and writing task. When Sarah is lost and asks a woman for help, how is each character's perspective different? The text to self-connection. Describe a time in your life when you or a close family member was hurt. Did this person lose consciousness? Use your sensory details to help me picture what was going on. How are you feeling emotionally, physically? Sarah has no one to help her. Who helped you? Or how did you help the person that was hurt? So just a short story of a time in your life that somebody was really injured, or a time that you were really injured, similar to what Sarah's experiencing now. And the extension. By the end of chapter 2, Sarah is in trouble. What events lead up to this conflict? Now, think back just at the beginning of the book. Sarah, with her long hair, her pretty dress, living in a nice house, and fast forward to now. Her hair's cut, she's lost, she's injured and unconscious in this foreign city, and she doesn't know where she's at. The cat is gone. What events led up to this? How did this happen to her? Right? And I'm going to be adding the YouTube video, Navigating the Sea in the 17th Century, on our extra ELA videos tab of the YouTube channel. And as always, please feel free to write me or leave messages on Seesaw. Put some comments in the section below. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the book. And without further ado, we're going to sign off for today. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for following along. Bye-bye.